Jazz Show. My guests today are two of the finest lead players in the world. On lead trumpet is Walt Johnson, played lead for Frank Sinatra while I was in the band for 5 years. He's got a couple of books out we're going to talk about, High Double C in 10 Minutes and Low Gear, High Gear. And Mike Smith, lead alto player and soloist with Sinatra. I'm going to get them online if you just hold on a second. This is all kind of new to me, and I'm not using headphones today. I'm trying something new. If there's a feedback loop, I will cut out and plug in some headphones into the back of my iMacs, but that doesn't seem to be an issue now.
Hey, good morning.
One second. I hear you. I'm just going to unhide everybody, hopefully. Showing stream. I'm not seeing you in the stream, though. One sec. Technical difficulties.
How rare of him to have a technical difficulty.
Yeah, there we go. All right.
Is this part of the Jazz Task Force?
This is it. This is the Jazz, the Rat Horn Pack for Sinatra. One of the first questions, and I'm not going to be a narrator or, anybody could jump in at any time, but I was curious as to how you guys got the call to work with Frank Sinatra. Walt, could you go first? How did you initially get the call? I know you took over for Buddy Childers' chair, but could you tell us a little about that?
In 1984, I got a call from Al Ramsey, of all people. He was the contractor at the Golden Nugget in Vegas, and he asked me if I could play the B flat in Luck Be a Lady. And so I said, well, I think so. And that's how I got the call. And at that time, they didn't even pay for my hotel. I had to go up to Vegas and find a place to stay and pay for it myself. But they gave me a little extra travel money. And then actually, Buddy Childers took my place, and he hired me as the second player. And then, and as a matter of fact, I know that Buddy Childers was responsible for getting a lot of people on the band. Even Mike, I believe. Mike, would you attest to that? Didn't it help you get on the band?
Well, no. Actually, how I got on the band was I started with Buddy Rich in 1981. We were the backup group for Sinatra for a whole year. And Joe Mallon, Paul Mallon's father, was the contractor. So then I started getting calls from Joe Mallon to do like the Midwest area. And then then I started playing with Frank Jr., and then that's how Frank Jr. got me on the band full time.
Right. But Buddy took suggestions.
Buddy got me with Frank Jr.
Oh,
but I had already been doing Sinatra before that. I was part of doing gigs when Charlie Turner was playing lead trumpet.
Ah, right. Yeah. No, there was. I actually went through 4 conductors. There was Joe Parnello, Bill Miller.
Mm-hmm. Same thing here.
And then finally Frank Jr. when he came in. Of course, the rhythm section wasn't very appreciative. You remember that? They were.
Yeah, I remember that, but
But
Well, are you saying your whole edition was like playing the double high B flat on Luck Be a Lady? That was your.
Well, the funny thing was they never called that in that gig. They never called it. I was prepared to play it, but that was the question that Al Ramsey asked me if I could play it, and I think that I got Bob Finley recommended me for the gig, I believe.
Yeah, I got the call also from Mallon, and he used to book a lot of cereals, not breakfast cereals, but cereals on TV like General Hospital, so he was pretty involved in the whole booking thing. And I got the call, and Joe goes, "Hey, is this Richie Vitale?" And I'm going, "Yes, Richie Vitale." And he goes, "Well, we're looking for guys to play with Frank Sinatra." I said, "Frank Sinatra? Are you kidding? You know, that would be like a dream of mine." And he goes, "Yeah, we're looking for some of you younger cats." And I'm thinking, "Hey, Matt, this is the last time you're going to fool me." Click, you know. So I almost hung up on that phone call, but I decided.
Well, Joe Mallon got those names from me.
Oh, you are the man. I am so grateful.
That's how we got you in there. We got Walt Weiskopf, Dave Brandom.
What a band. And guys like Carl Fontana. I mean, one of the greatest trombone players. When I heard the West Coast guys, there was who's the guy who sang that old Black Magic, Mike, played trombone. West Coast.
You know, Watros?
No, he committed suicide, believe it or not.
Frank Rosolino.
Yeah. When I listened to Curtis Fuller and Slide Hampton and those cats. And then when I heard the whole West Coast group, I said, "Holy cow, these guys are playing across the grain, and it's a whole nother style." And Carl actually came over my house to make a jam session, which I was so happy about, because he would play a picture-perfect solo every time, and I was like putting in a mute and struggling with each solo. And everything Carl played was perfect, recordable, record quality, could have been on Capitol Records. And he comes over my house to play, and he says, "Well, take it easy on me, you know, let's play." I said, "I'm not going to play anything you don't know." And we had such a great time to play with a legend. Walt, I was wondering, I'm sure trumpet players are curious, and then Mike, what equipment are you using for your I know you got tons of trumpets. You got small trumpets, plastic trumpets, so you can show us those. But what's your main trumpet?
Now I've got a Bach commercial trumpet and a Colicchio mouth. My Colicchio mouthpiece I've been playing since 1967. So
a Bach trumpet.
The Bach commercial trumpet is what I've got. It's a new, kind of relatively about 5 years or so.
What were you using when we were working together? Colicchio.
Yeah, but it wore out, so you know.
Yeah, I hear you. And Mike, what are you using for your alto?
Oh, I have so many things I use. Depends on what it is. I'm mostly a Kyle Worth saxophone player. I was sponsored by that company for many years, but I have Selmer Mark VI, and then my mouthpiece is an old Berg Larson that I've been playing since college. So.
And do you use a different horn at a jazz club than you would for lead playing?
Yeah, I have different stuff. It depends on the way I am. If the horn needs to be overhauled, I grab another one till I get it fixed. No, but I have my favorites. I do have my favorites, but you know, it's not so much equipment. It's the sound in your ear, you know.
Yeah. And Walt, you got a couple books out there. Are they in physical or just EPUB?
What's that?
Your two books out. Are they in physical hard paperback?
Both you order them from the Q-Press, excuse me. Yeah, qpress.ca. It's in Canada. This is the double high C in 10-minute book that he puts out. It's real thin, and he told me so that. But the new one is I put out is this low gear, high gear, and in between all the etudes, I put stories, you know, like road stories. Here's one.
Thing is, I can tell you how to get a double high C in 5 seconds. You just bite on the reed.
No, but this is the one like this was. You would think that playing lead trumpet at Carnegie Hall or at Radio City Music Hall in New York would be the dream of a lifetime gig, wouldn't you? Like with the Count Basie band playing lead trumpet with Count Basie, with Frank Sinatra singing at the at Radio City Music Hall for a week. Wouldn't you think that would be a great gig? Mike was on it.
Yeah,
it was very nice.
It was a nightmare for me because the trumpet player said, I'm not going to mention his name because I've already talked to him about it. We've already worked it out. But he was like playing lead above me. Playing lead, it wasn't, and the trombones, they were lost the whole time. Those guys couldn't read, if you remember. Did he, Mike? But Mike got his own saxophone section. He had like the New York guys, right?
Right.
Yeah, well, let's not get into that kind of stuff.
What a sax section. When we played Street of Dreams, I got to play a muted Harmon solo behind Sinatra, and then I think it was followed by Weisskopf. It was like, wow, this is like being in heaven.
You played Lonesome Road, right? Didn't you play the solo in Lonesome?
Yeah, in fact, I took the whole chart. It was such a mess with where the trumpet came in. It was like nothing was written out. So I listened to the old record, whoever it was, Sweets Edison, and I wrote out what the changes were after 13 bars coming for 4 bars, 5 more bars coming with these changes, and I wrote that whole thing out. In fact, I was almost a
now Mike used to look forward to Mike playing the solo in One for My Baby every night. Beautiful solo, just touching, make you cry, you know. And the old man used to love it too.
Well, the original soloist from the record, Only the Lonely, that was Gus Bavona. And One for My Babies and was not in the greatest key.
Keys that in?
It was an A.
Oh, I see. A B, yeah.
No, yeah. Well, when I got on the gig, I went and researched. I mean, I grew up listening to that music with my parents, but I tried to get a hold of every recording, especially like when I first started on the gig. You know, if I knew what was in the show kind of lineup, I studied all of those recordings.
Well,
so that I could have somewhat of an idea on the style, and I was a more modern player, and and I wanted to bring the right style to that gig. So that's the biggest thrill for me with being in Sinatra though was to be able, because I had the best seat in the house. You guys were in the back row, the trombones are in the middle. I got to hear the whole thing. So all I was doing was immersing myself in those wonderful arrangements, listening every time we played them. Like, I have to say that's where I got a lot of my orchestration skills and stuff. Just sitting in there and listening to, like, what Don Costa and Nelson Riddle and Billy May, what those guys were all doing.
Well, that whole concept of the way Conrad Gazzo played that trumpet, you could always hear him above the band. That was it. I mean, for me, I think everybody agreed that Conrad Gazzo sound is what it's all about. The Sinatra brass, got to be loud. It's loud, and they blow away. But with our 8-piece group, I'd follow you, because that was, you were kind of leading the band, the 8-piece band.
Yeah, that was fun. I like the 8-piece band. It
is fun. It sounds
one of the great things I think was when I first got on the band, we had Irv Kotler and Bill Miller.
Right.
So we had
Gene Chirico. Gene Chirico was playing bass then.
Yeah, so the guys who were actually on the Capitol recordings that Frank had made and all those famous recordings. So every time I heard it's 2:45, there's no one in the place, I'm thinking like that piano player is there. And Bill he's a giant. I used to see him at the bar all the time. He could stay up later than I could. I'm going, oh, geez, I got to go to sleep. Bill's over there hanging out, hitting on the kicks. Unbelievable guy. Irv just swinging, man, right in the pocket. Just a wonderful band. By the way, I knew Joe Parnello. The way I met him was when I was working with Buddy Rich. I didn't get to play with Sinatra. See, Buddy couldn't read. So when Sinatra, the band played with Frank, Buddy would sit out. Now, Charles Turner was playing lead at the time. So they used the 3 trumpet players. I was playing the solo chair, which was the 4th chair. So I'm going, I don't get to play with Frank Sinatra. I grew up with this music. I listened to Frank on a Victrola, along with Carmine Crusoe. And so anyways, during Buddy's set, we played Love for Sale. And every time I would quote Nancy with the laughing face. And after about 5 nights of that, Joe said, we like your solos. And what he did was he wrote a fifth trumpet part so I could play with Frank. And it was basically the lead part down an octave. And that was the first time I got to work with Frank Sinatra. And that was Joe Parnell. And now, poor Joe, he had a brain tumor later in his life. I think that's how he went. But what a nice cat. I mean, just incredible.
He was changing the scores. He was changing some of the parts, and then that's how he ended up leaving.
Say that again, Walt?
He was changing, changing some of the voicings in the Sinatra Nelson Riddle part.
It's not the best idea to do.
The Parnello chart, there's like all these changes, but you're right. His sweetheart. I love the guy.
Nice cat. And Junior Frank Jr. was our conductor the last, how many years, Mike? 3 years?
No, it was longer than that. I think Junior started conducting in 1985.
Mm-hmm. Till what?
At 88?
No, till we went all the way till, I think, 90. Might have been 92 or 93. 94, I think, was the last the last gig.
Fukuoka, Japan. We flew.
Well, no, and we did the golf outing.
I wasn't on that. Yeah. That
was what a nice cat. Like, he would always ask Richie, "Are you happy with your rooms?" And he meant it. Like, if you guys, he would have the rhythm section and the lead players play at the Sands and stay at the Sands Hotel. And across the street, I would be at the Madison. So he was always concerned about my room, and he would literally switch a room, have a room switched. Another time, they wouldn't allow comps for my family, and I'm pretty sure Frank Jr. bought some of the tickets for one of those. It was like a alcove, horseshoe-shaped couch, and like my Aunt Mary and my sisters and my brothers, and and like probably 5 or 6.
No, Frank Jr. was the best.
He was. We talked about the dinners. He had dinners for us after every show, and hence, I mean, everybody knows about that he had nicknames for everybody, the Tons of the Pioneers, because we were all gaining weight, But the dinners, it got to be so he wondered why you weren't at the dinner. He didn't want you going off by yourself, and. I was like, I find an excuses not to go to dinner, and I ran out of excuses. I had to go. So, but you could order anything you want to drink every night. It was just a part, and that's the thing that he liked the most. The gigs were one thing, but I love the dinners. We go out to a great restaurant, and Richie, you're a part of a lot of those dinners, I know, right?
Well, I would come late because I had low blood sugar and wanted the main meal. People were drinking wine and having salad, so I would show up like 30 minutes into the dinner, and maybe we would just thinking about starting to order. But Mike and I, rather Walt and I, and Frank Figueroa, whoever else was there, John Bailey, we would sneak out early to play Boggle or Yahtzee.
Rummy Cube.
Rummy Cube. Yeah. In fact, I'm going to check with some of my friends about some of the online games. I think Scrabble's going to be online as long as we could comment. And also there's something called Words for Friends or something, and maybe we could try that and get Figueroa in the loop. Frank, Walt rather. Hey, Walt, could you show us what your books look like, by the way?
Well, this is the the Double High C in 10 Minutes book, which is it's a technique of bringing your bottom lip in, and it's a different gear. I call it low gear, high gear. And it's got several exercises, characters. But the sequel is when you learn that technique and to get it so you can use it is this low gear, high gear book, and it's got 49 etudes in it. I wrote, and it's a good book. I think you play this every day, and you'll create some monsters.
So
I love this. This plastic trumpet, man. If you put the plastic mouthpiece in this thing, it sounds like a flugelhorn almost. Well, if you put the
That's probably a lot of that is that whole 3D Cadman machine that's the 3D printing that they're making all these mouthpieces and horns with now.
with a metal mouth, yeah.
Jesus, Walt.
I'm so, well,
Easy, will you?
hey,
Did
that was
you
funny.
hurt yourself on
Hey,
that?
did you hurt yourself?
No, no,
yourself?
folks. Walt's book, Low Gear, High Gear, isn't selling as quickly as his other book, the Double High C in 10 minutes. So I suggested he rename it Double High C in 5 minutes. And Walt, you'll sell so many copies.
What? No, it's the biggest selling book that guy has. That's what he said. He told me. So,
Which one?
the Double High C in 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, the other one's great and newer. So I'm telling people go out and buy Walt's other book.
That's only 10 minutes, but after that, you got to.
Well, gentlemen, I need to kind of finish up here because I actually have a couple of lessons that I have to teach this afternoon.
Well, can you explain the bow tie?
I just thought I'd look good for the program today.
Well, you do.
You didn't want to see me in my pajamas.
You look great, Mike.
But and also, if there's any saxophone players that I can do to help, I'm doing it gratis during these hard times. They can contact me through Facebook, and if I can give them a few minutes on FaceTime or something, I'm Messenger. I'm happy to help them.
Mike's a big messenger guy. Hey, Mike, has the mouthpiece thing changed since the 3D printing? Do you find mouthpieces as good as the old Berg Larsens or some of the mouthpieces?
They have done some of the 3D printing, and there are some people that are very happy with it. I personally, I'm still old school. I use the old mouthpieces, Bergs, and the brand new Meyer just came out with a new 100th anniversary that's a copy of the old New York Myers. They seem to work really well. There's a lot of mouthpieces out there that are great. It's such a personal thing as a woodwind player. I mean, what works great for one person doesn't work at all for somebody else. So
yeah,
I mean, you pretty much got to try it, and if you like it and it sounds good, then that's the way you go.
A lot of sax players end up, when they get a new horn, it's actually a new used horn, because those old cigar cutters or the horns they say they used a different metal back from shells that had dropped during World War II.
I don't know. There's all kinds of things. All these guru guys have different things. I don't know. I take it out of the case if it plays good. Plays good.
Sound. Yeah, the sound.
Will you buy a new reed if they let you play lead?
Would I buy what?
A new reed if they let you play lead?
I don't worry about that anymore.
Are you still using those plastic reeds?
That's a song.
No, I've never been a plastic reed guy. But that's not to say they're no good. I mean, my thinking on the whole thing is if it works for you, then it's great.
Right. Well, cutting the cane so early now, the cane is a little.
That's not true. I mean, I'm endorsed by D'Addario, and I've been all the way since my Maynard Ferguson days, back in 1980. They've been sponsoring me, and I have good luck with them. But I mean, some people use Van Dorn's. I mean, Brigatti. There's everything. There's so much product out there and different things, and I can't say one is better. The D'Addario has been, the people have been good. They've always been a big sponsor of me. Babbitt Mouthpieces Company, Buffet Clarinets, Coward Saxophone. So, I love the product, and, Powell Flutes. So it's, I found stuff that I liked, and I liked working with the people. They've always been behind me in my career. So that's what I don't go. I'm not always out looking for something different. And actually, right now, I'm experimenting with some very old vintage things. I'm working on a new recording right now, playing a 1920 something Busher C melody saxophone. So
Well, I heard the thing you did on the baritone saxophone, and you overdubbed flutes, two flutes. It's incredible. Yeah, and all of that is on Mike Smith's Facebook page. Mike, could you tell us a little about your Pro Tools setup?
oh, I have an old computer running an old Pro Tools program, and it's a closed system, and I have some good microphones and a good preamp, and and I've been doing home recording since I was in high school. So
Well, that's pretty much what the engineers do. In fact, their OSs are often behind what I have on my computer because they don't want to upgrade. So,
well, yeah, it's nice to upgrade, and I'm getting at that point where I probably do need to upgrade. But right now, my system is very stable. But
Yeah.
and in these times now, I'm just trying, and I tell my old students too, if you were an alto saxophone player, this might be a good time since there's no work or anything going on. Start learning how to practice, and put time on your other instruments that you don't play all the time. That's always been my thing. I've tried to play all the saxophones, the flutes, the clarinets. I've never done double reeds too much, but and then right now that's what I'm doing all day. Instead of being on TV and getting excited and upset, I'm trying to do projects. So my latest projects are just a couple years ago I did a whole record of woodwinds.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah. That's on your, is that on your webpage?
Yeah, you can get it on my web. My webpage is mikesmithsax.com. But I like to thank everybody for including me in this program today.
Yeah, it's kind
of
what a cool little setup, man.
Let's remember the people in the front lines that are working so hard to keep everybody safe, and
amen.
And everybody stay home.
Yeah.
Rick,
stay home, save lives.
Stay home, save lives.
And, yeah, how's things in New York, man, in Chicago?
And work on your music at home.
Oh.
But thank you so much for inviting me, Richie.
Yeah, man.
And
my pleasure.
Good to talk with you, Walt. And like I say, if anybody wants to reach me, they can reach me through Facebook. And for me right now, it's not the time to be charging people. I'm an older musician, so if I've got something I can share with you, I'm happy to.
Thank you, Mike.
If anyone who wants to contact me, please feel free.
All right.
Thank you very much, fellas.
Stay healthy, Mike.
Thank you for me.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Bye, everybody.
Well, folks, I guess that's it. I didn't mean to cut Walt Johnson out. He just quit. So that's the end of our broadcast. It was short. And frankly, I've kind of run out of questions. And I'm going to check next week with two of my friends, Joe Magnarelli and Greg Gisberg. And I found out that they have to be on a computer as opposed to an iPad. So that's kind of a prerequisite. So I would check with them. And if they do have computers that they can get to, we'll be able to do this with those cats. Now, I'm sorry I haven't been able to respond to your comments, and I appreciate them. But right now I have to do that by going to my Facebook page, and my video is not up there right now. Even though you're watching it, I can't watch it and I can't comment. But we're kind of busy here talking anyway. So I want to thank you all for watching the second edition of Social Distancing Jazz Show. And I will have jazz guests, and I'm going to have more singers. And I'd like to have some of my favorite saxophone players. And I did, because some of them don't have Facebook. They're not even on Facebook. Who would think? I'll probably do that off camera, and then I'll announce when I'm putting it on Facebook so you could watch it. So thank you for watching, and stay safe. Keep washing your hands, and we'll see you next week. Bye.